I love the Lord. I am so grateful that he's been so patient with me and that he commands us to love one another, no matter our differences, whatever those differences may be, whether we disagree with somebody, he commands us to love, and he has been so faithful to me, and I am so eternally grateful to his patience. I was 44 years old before my heart was so convicted that I read the Bible entirely.
Hey there, folks. Welcome to the Eric Metaxas Show. I have a wonderful joy right now to talk to my friend Kathy Ireland. Kathy, welcome to this program.
Well, thank you, Eric. It is an honor to be with you. Thank you.
You're very kind, sister. Now, I want to talk to you about everything, but in case people don't know, and there are lots of young people who don't know that not so long ago, you were a supermodel on every magazine. I mean, you had an amazing career. I don't know how many times you were on Sports Illustrated. Like, I don't know. Like, you probably know that number. Can you share that with the group?
Oh my God, you're very kind, Eric. It was in the last century, and I worked with that publication for 13 years. Was on the cover 3 times. That career went on a lot longer than I anticipated the entire time I was trying and failing at businesses. It took me a long time to
I know.
to
Now
get
you're an amazing businesswoman, and thank you for pointing out that it's in the last century, because people are thinking, wow, you know, that woman has really lost her looks. She could never have been a model. It's obvious, right, Kathy? You are so pretty that you're very shy and humble about it. But honestly, you had an amazing career as one of the top models in the world. That's how you came to prominence. You're a woman of faith, and now you have a huge business. How do you even describe it? You know, Kathy Ireland Worldwide. That kind of says it right there. But you're into so many things. Let's just talk about that for a minute, because I'm fascinated with this.
Oh, well, thank you, Eric. So grateful. I work with an incredible team. Our core members, we've been together over 30 years. We've got our millennials and our Gen Zs. But as far as how we would describe it, we've been compared to a mini conglomerate. Berkshire Hathaway on a much, 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 much smaller valuation. Warren Buffett is someone, he and I frequently will compete in newspaper tossing competitions. We both had paper routes as kids for the opening of the Berkshire Hathaway shareholders meetings. And we started with a single pair of socks when I was a pregnant, aging model at my kitchen table. And now our company encompasses everything from lighting to furniture, fashion, entertainment, publishing, children's. It's fintech. It's a great group. We love what we do, and we get to work with amazing people and serve incredible people. Really great.
I want to talk to you about, not this second, but when I come to it, you've just launched a record label. You're doing a lot of many interesting things, and a lot of people just don't know that side of you. They just think of you as a supermodel who's doing other stuff now. But you make it sound like you were always interested in business, even while you were modeling, in the middle of modeling.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, my first job, I was 4 years old. I sold painted rocks from my wagon. Modeling was a detour. It ended up being a great education, not the plan. But as far as the music, we have the privilege of working with great people. In our company, EE1 is the entertainment arm of our company. An amazing young producer, Nick Mendoza, working very closely with Marilyn McCoo, Billy Davis Jr., produced Blackbird, the Lennon-McCartney icons. Billy and Marilyn, they're incredible people of faith.
People don't know. I didn't know that. So, I mean, I remember them principally as the Fifth Dimension. Amazing voices, amazing talents, but they're people of Christian faith. I didn't really know that. That's always good to hear.
Solid people of faith. They do so much work beneath the radar. Had the privilege of being in Mississippi with them after Hurricane Katrina. They have their own Christian worship band, and they're always reaching out to others. But incredible people, and we're working with BMG, and they're amazing. Just just fantastic people, and we're so proud of them. Their music debuted at #1 on iTunes for R&B, and also Alpha Data. They're doing great, and their music can be found on Apple, and also a lot of people get their music digitally, but with Billy and Marilyn, the art is so iconic. People are purchasing that. It's going so well in Target, Walmart, Barnes and Noble.
I just love the fact that a lot of people are getting to know this other side of you. I should mention also, you're obviously a wife and a mother. I met your kids in Santa Barbara a few years ago. I don't remember what that was. That was for the Christian school that you're affiliated with?
Yeah, we are so grateful to you. Yes, you came and spoke at Providence twice, an amazing Christian school in our community. And also Network Medical, a pregnancy clinic for women, which is comprehensive and amazing. And so our community loves you.
Well, it's hard not to love Santa Barbara. Gorgeous place. And your kids were wonderful, predictably. And I guess I want to, I'm trying to think, at one of those events, I sang Frank Sinatra or something like that. Were you you were at that event? This is before I knew you were launching a record label. I want you to know it wasn't planned, Kathy. Okay?
It
was not
planned. You were auditioning, Eric, and I think there's hope for you, and let's
I think
see.
God obviously set that up. It's very obvious that He set that up. No pressure. I want to talk to you about you. Both you and I have been involved with I Am Second. They make these beautiful videos. People should go there, iamsecond.com, where they ask people to talk about their faith journey. They're very short videos. Your story of coming to faith. I mean, again, a lot of people don't know this about you, and it's really beautiful. So tell us a little bit of that, and if we don't have enough time, we'll just go into the next segment, because this is, it's just important people know where you're coming from.
Oh, well, thank you, Eric. And I would start by saying the one who is forgiven much, loves much. I love a lot, a lot. I grew up with no faith at all, really nothing. And when I was 18, I was traveling on my own, started that modeling career. It was a hard time. It was a lonely time. I was staying in an apartment of people I wasn't close to. My room was at the end of this really long hallway. And later I found out girls called that, "Oh, you're staying in the dungeon." And one night, late at night, out of jet lag and boredom, I realized my mom had packed a Bible in my suitcase. My mom had just become Christian from a woman at nursing school. Never read a Bible in my life, didn't know how to read it. I was a rebellious teenager questioning who really knows what's right. I opened up to the Gospel of Matthew, and as I opened up and began to read, I knew that what I was holding in my hands was the truth. And there was no one in that room with me telling me, be this denomination or that denomination. It was just, I love Jesus. I want to follow him. And he became my Lord and Savior and best friend. That relationship gave me the courage to walk away from situations that were not right. It gave me, in that situation where I was, it gave me the opportunity to rebel against unhealthy situations. Like, no, I'm not going to your party. However, a regret that I do have regrets. And one of my regrets is that I remained a baby Christian for so long. The very thing that led me to the Lord was his word. And as I continued to read, there were verses I loved that I'd cling to. There were others that I just thought, oh, that's a typo, or that's a translation thing, or, certainly doesn't pertain to me. So I was cherry picking. I was picking and choosing what I liked, dismissing the rest. And we know the first 4 words out of Satan's mouth, did God really say? And that's been such a journey. And I love the Lord. I am so grateful that he's been so patient with me, and that he commands us to love one another, no matter our differences, whatever those differences may be, whether we disagree with somebody, he commands us to love. And he's been so faithful to me, and I am so eternally grateful to his patience. I was 44 years old before my heart was so convicted that I read the Bible entirely, and I wept, bittersweet. I mean, just so overjoyed at his truth and recognizing like, oh my goodness, what have I been doing? And a verse that is so close to my heart, it's Joel 2:25. I will restore the years the locusts have eaten. Like, yes, he was writing to the Israelites. There's also something for us in there as well.
Isn't that an amazing verse? I mean, that one, I remember that too, because sometimes that's the worst thing. You think, okay, I'm a Christian today, but what about all the stuff that I did? Okay, he forgives me, but it's just so hard to think about the waste of the years and the time and the energy and the talent. And that scripture I always remember, it says, I will restore what the locust and the palmer worm. None of us knows what a palmer worm is, but we don't care. We know they're bad. They eat good stuff. And God says he's going to restore it. And it really, that is so beautiful. We're going to go to a break. Folks, I'm talking to Kathy Ireland. It's the Eric Metaxas Show. We'll be right back. Folks, welcome back. It's the Eric Metaxas Show. This is a show. I'm the host. I'm Eric. I'm talking to Kathy Ireland. Kathy, what you were sharing about your mother packing a Bible because I know we have a really dear friend who is a young model, and it is a tough life. It's awful in so many ways. We think of it as glamorous, but it can be not just brutally hard work, but it can be abusive and difficult in so many ways. So the fact that your mother packed a Bible, did you know, had she tried to share her faith with you before this? I mean, she's sending her daughter off into the wide world. Had she done that, or was this just something that she decided to just pack the Bible?
She shared it. It was very early in her journey, so it was new to her. And she was quiet, yet Eric, I really noticed a transformation in my mom that I loved. This quiet strength, and it was so attractive, and I really appreciated that, and I know that drew me to really want to read this too.
Well, it is amazing also the power of the Bible. I mean, here you are, you're 18 years old, you don't know anything about the Bible, but you open it up and somehow God manages to speak to you. I mean, for a lot of people, the Bible can be really opaque if you don't have somebody explaining things to you, but when you're alone, somehow you can pick things out because you're sort of desperate in a way. You're looking for something, and there's a lot of something in it. But you said, I mean, I think a lot of people remain baby Christians for a long time. Like they believe, but I think I had those periods in my life earlier. And it is interesting, though, that at some point you kind of turn a corner. Was it when you were 34, you said you read the Bible? In other words, what was it, or was there anything that suddenly made you think, I need to take this more seriously?
I was 44. I was at a women's retreat. I had every excuse in the world not to go. And it was during a quiet time, nothing monumental, a worship time. My heart was convicted, and I just felt the Lord press upon my heart. You say I'm your first priority, but I'm not. And my response was, Lord, you know what my life is right now. I got 3 young kids, my husband, business, all of it. I'm so stretched. And what I got from him was, put me first. I will give you better time with your kids. I will expand your time. I'll give you more time with them. And he is so faithful. And what began as setting the alarm clock 15 minutes early became just the biggest joy of my life. And something that frightens me, Eric, is when I see people, and I understand because I was there, taking the Bible out of context and excusing every evil behavior, from replacement theology, which I believe is instrumental in anti-Semitism, racism and bigotry that is global. And it's interesting when we think about the people, we had centuries of church history where the Bible was spiritualized. And when people in the 17 and 1800s started reading their Bibles literally, that's when we had the first abolitionists. That's when we had the Zionists who fought for Israel. And I love your book, Bonhoeffer, really demonstrating how important it is when somebody understands the Word of God. You cannot take it out of context. The enemy wants to twist it and take it out of context. And so that's why it's so important that we're all able to give an account for the hope that is within us.
I just love that. So you said this was when you were 44?
Yes.
So it's like 8 months ago, give or take.
Uh,
Give or take. No, look. You're there's nothing wrong with aging, but you really look remarkably similar. It's just so interesting. Some people do, and some people don't. But you started so young, Kathy. It's just astonishing to me as a father of a young woman right now. The idea that you would be thrown into that world. How did you get into that? In other words, what happened to you? Because I mean, you're obviously beautiful. You're tall. That's sort of what they're looking for. But there are a lot of tall, beautiful women who don't get into that world. So how did that happen for you?
It's a look of a moment, and it's constantly changing. So I never felt very secure in that. But how it happened, I was a tomboy, and there was a local modeling school that opened in our town. I was 16. My parents had saved up their money. They're like, we never, really did lessons for you, but maybe this will help. And so they taught you how to walk and match your clothes. I was a disaster. I was a beach rat. My hair was fried. My nose was peeling. One big eyebrow. And the look of the moment was changing. It was just changing. And a scout came to class one day and asked if I'd like to go to New York. And everyone was as stunned as I was. And they said they would advance me the money. If I didn't like it, I could go home. And I figured, you know what, this is an opportunity to save money for college or to start a business.
Unbelievable. And you were how old at the time?
By the time I went off to New York, I was 17. And it was an eye-opening experience. I met some incredible people who I'm still close with today. And I met a lot of predators. People back then in the 80s called them playboys. They were predators, and so many lessons learned. And it really had an impact on our business today, as well as the fact that my dad worked in labor relations, and he worked with Cesar Chavez putting outhouses in the farmlands in Camarillo and Oxnard. And so how people are treated has always been at the forefront of my mind, and seeing human trafficking and recognizing that was happening back then.
Kathy, hang on a second. We're going to go to break. I really want to hear this. So when we come back, folks, Kathy Ireland will continue along these lines. It's the Eric Metaxas Show. Don't go away. Hey there, gang. This is the Eric Metaxas Show, and I'm talking to Kathy Ireland. Kathy, you're just sharing some stuff that's really important. You oversee what is now really a huge business. A lot of people are involved, and you talk about caring about how people are treated and how your father had worked in labor relations with Cesar Chavez and that kind of thing. And you're saying that when you went to New York, 16, 17, I mean, it's astonishing to me as a father of a young woman that a beautiful young woman would go off into that world. And as you said, there were people that were straight up predators. And they were allowed generally to get away with it. But you were in that world. You saw that. So that must affect just how you raise your kids and how you see life.
Right. And it was covered. It was glossed over. So it wasn't so overt, but my goodness, the things that were happening, it led me to understand and to be alert and aware. And recently wrote a book with Rachel Van Dyken. She's a New York Times bestselling author. It's a novel. It's called Fashion Jungle. It's fiction, but it's based on stories that my roommates and I experienced during that time. And I'm telling you that the prayers of my mom really got me through. And she came with me the first few days to make sure I was okay. And it seemed okay, and I survived it, but my eyes were opened. And we know that human trafficking, it is the fastest growing illegal business on earth. I mean, unlike drugs, human beings can be sold over and over. And frequently when human beings are no longer profitable in the sex slave trade, they're sold into forced labor. So when we started with that very first pair of socks, one of the first things we did was a surprise factory inspection, because people can, they can clean up if they know you're coming. And our company has the toughest human rights policies that I'm aware of. I'm always asking people, if you have something better, share it with us. We always need to grow and do better. But when we look at what's going on around the world, from the Uyghurs in China, the genocides, the atrocities, we've got to open our eyes to this and be alert and aware and not be deceived.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. I talk about this a lot lately, that it's unconscionable to me that businesses, they could do business in America, and yet they would work with China and not really seem to care or turn a blind eye towards some of the most monstrous things imaginable: forced labor, the subjugation of ethnic minorities. And I think, don't we have a responsibility? I mean, I believe in the free market, but the free market doesn't work unless you have a virtuous and moral populace, just like democracy and the Constitution doesn't work. People have to care about virtue. And I'm just fascinated that some huge companies, I'll never mention their names, but Nike, for example, these companies seem not to be putting this at the forefront. And you would think that if a company puts that stuff at the forefront, people want to reward them. So I just want to thank you for bringing that up, because this really is right now a gigantic problem. The idea that there are people in actual slave labor. We as Americans who are free should do everything possible and at least require companies that we give our money to have strong human rights policies, which many don't.
And as Christians, we must recognize that the throne of God is made up of every tongue, tribe, and nation. And God loves all. He seeks all to come to him. And when there is suffering, when there's persecution for anyone, we of all people are the ones who need to stand up and say, no, that's not okay.
Well, I'm just glad that you're living your faith in your business, and that's something we can all do. We can live out our faith in our lives wherever we are, and especially when you have influence over a company or something like that. And so I'm just so glad you brought that up, because I really do worry that sometimes people, they look at the bottom line and they turn a blind eye towards stuff that we can't. I mean, if you were being trafficked, or you were working in slave labor, or you knew someone who did, you would want more than anything to the people who are benefiting from that to look into that, to do something about that. If people want to find you online or your company, where can they look?
Any of our social media platforms, they can find me. Twitter, they can go to kathyireland.com. Love to connect with people, and people are so kind. I mean, I get the bullies. That's okay. No problems there. But people are really kind in giving great guidance. If something's not working for them, they let me know. They're really honest about it, or they'll give input, ideas. I really appreciate that.
Well, that is so cool. And I'm really excited about Marilyn McCoo and Billy Davis Jr. Doing this album. So what is this album? Because I did read about this.
So it's Blackbird, it's Lennon McCartney icons. And this is Marilyn. I mean, recognizing Marilyn and Billy, they were the first African-American couple to move into their neighborhood in Beverly Hills at the time when they did. And shortly after they moved there, there was an 8-foot cross burned on their lawn.
Excuse me, in Beverly Hills, like in the 60s?
Yeah. And I mean, they endured. So in our lifetime, the things that have endured. And so what I find so encouraging about this, I think the biggest antidote, we live in such divisive times. And the biggest antidote to hate is love. And that's what Marilyn and Billy are doing with this music. And it's beautiful, it's meaningful. Their voices are better than ever. I mean, it's incredible. So
this is this Lennon McCartney songs that they're singing the covers? Is that what you mean?
Yes. Yes, and Blackbird, beautiful. Marilyn takes lead in that. Silly love songs. Just all of it. Fool on the Hill. They're powerful, meaningful, and there's beautiful art attached with the music that people can find. And I'm so proud of it.
So you might not want to get it digitally. You might want to actually buy the thing. What is the thing? A CD? An album? Like what? whatever it is.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
Kathy Ireland, it's wonderful to know you and to sort of share a little bit more about you and your life with my audience. Say hey to your mom and your family, whom I've been privileged to meet. And I hope to see you in person sometime soon. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Well, Eric, God bless you, and thank you again for visiting our community, for visiting Providence. We were with the founders, Randy and Amy Clark, last night, my husband and I, talking about you.
Oh.
Grateful for the impact that you continue to have. So thank you very much.
Thank you.